Hello, DC fans. I think we've got lots of DC stuff to talk about today because we damn well have. James Gunn has said in Peacemaker Series 2 that he's writing now. We'll talk about the scheduling of when we could see that and how he's going to start doing that alongside directing Superman Legacy. But he says in Peacemaker Series 2, we're going to find out what remains canon from Peacemaker Season 1. Now, you know what I think about this semi-reboot, kind of continuation of the DCEU, keeping some things that he feels worked and getting rid of others that he felt or feels didn't work. So I would ask him, if I was interviewing him for you guys here today, I'd say, James, wouldn't it just be easier to reboot the whole thing? But the thing is, I think with James Gunn, he worked hard in developing Cena's Peacemaker, and he wrote and directed a really good Suicide Squad movie. So he doesn't want to bin his work. Now, I believe he had a plan for this universe since he started writing and directing Suicide Squad. And he was already going to write a Superman movie prior to becoming co-CEO of DC Studios. So I believe he's always had a plan in his mind. I think as a writer, you think, if I took this baby over, this whole thing, DC in itself, this is what I'd do. So he clearly has always known his plan, and he has got a defined plan in how to clean up the DCEU, make it the DCU, and move forward. You know, the whole clever storyline of killing off Rick Flag and giving, Peacemaker, this beautiful arc. And now he's going to introduce Rick Flag Sr. Smart move. Now, when John Ostrander took over the Suicide Squad characters, comics back in the 80s, he created basically Rick Flag Sr., who had fought in the Second World War, because originally, before John came in, it was Rick Flag, just one Rick Flag who fought in the Second World War. But he wanted a contemporary Rick Flag, so he created Rick Flag Sr., who was Rick Flag Jr.'s father, of course, and he fought in the Second World War. So it will be interesting what James is doing with Rick Flag Sr. Will Rick Flag Sr. play a part in Peacemaker? Well, it depends if this is a Rick Flag Sr. that's based in the Second World War or if he's based in present day. Now, obviously, I'm being a bit stupid already because mathematics, if you're going to say that the killing of Rick Flag is still part of the canon of DC Universe, then obviously, and Rick Flag existed, of course, the guy couldn't have fought in the Second World War. So I'm being dumb, right? So I'm pretty sure that Rick Flag Sr. will be part of a new Suicide Squad, that he'll be part of Peacemaker Season 2. He's going to find out that Peacemaker killed his son. Maybe Rick Flag Sr. could be the villain of Season 2 of Peacemaker. So that will be very, very interesting. So I think these kind of things will remain, obviously the Rick Flag character and killing will remain canon. But if Rick Flag remains DCU canon from the DCEU, then surely the first Suicide Squad movie has to remain canon too. Can it? Is it? Basically, it's not like he treats the Suicide Squad, his Suicide Squad movie, like a direct sequel to the first film. So it's interesting. But I understand what James is attempting to do here. He wants to really kind of explain clearly, so people are not confused, in Peacemaker Season 2, what's canon from the first season and what's not. So he's writing Peacemaker Series 2 right now. I think he'll finish writing it just before he starts directing Superman Legacy. And as he's already told us, once he's finished directing Superman Legacy, hopefully he has a little bit of a break, although he's a bit of a workhorse. But I think after he finishes directing Superman Legacy, he'll go straight into making Peacemaker and producing Peacemaker. I love Peacemaker Series 1. We did a ranking of James Gunn's comic book stuff the other day. I think it's his best piece of work so far in terms of making comic book stuff. It was genius. Look, James Gunn is a lunatic of a writer-director. His stories are absolute lunacy, but the themes are there. themes that affect everyday people. And I like that. He's very good at what he can do. And, there's no question about that in terms of James Gunn. Whether or not he can mold a brand new DC universe spinning off from the original DCEU or not is something we're going to have to wait and see about, because we don't know. And there's no point me trying to persuade Snyder fans, for example, that he's a clever guy, he's a smart guy, and he can do a good job, because they don't want to know. All they want is the Snyderverse. So there'll be no point. It will be like me trying to talk Lex Luthor into becoming friends with Superman. He hates Superman, and that's just the way that it is. And so, yeah, I think that's what he's attempting to do. But what he's attempting to do here with, a semi-reboot is very, very tricky. And I think that's the issue that he's got. This is the challenge that James has given to himself by not just cleanly rebooting the whole thing, which would be so much easier. But he doesn't want to do that. He wants to, like, for example, the Wonder Woman situation. Is he going to use Gal Gadot? Well, according to Gal, James Gunn and Peter Safran had a little chat, and she was patted on the head and told not to worry, she's still going to be involved. Now, we've also heard from Variety at that time, a few weeks ago, by the way, that there was no plan for a Wonder Woman movie. So it's pretty clear for now, because I don't think James knows what he wants to do with Wonder Woman as such. I think he knows what he wants to do with her well, in terms of Paradise Lost. So I think they may even use her as a kind of, maybe she'll be narrating Paradise Lost. So I think that's what you're going to see from Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman. I think it's looking like she will remain in the universe for now. So I think she's going to probably be narrating Paradise Lost if I was a betting man. I think she's involved for now. I don't know if her involvement will be long term. We will see. Look, Gal Gadot is very popular as Wonder Woman. But, and as we know, he said he's going to keep the things that work and the things that don't. He clearly didn't believe that Henry Cavill was working as Superman. So he replaced him. And I mean, that's something that will be very triggering to a lot of people. Because I loved Henry Cavill as Superman. But for him, in terms of what he wants to do with Superman, he clearly believes he's tainted. And I love what Snyder did, but I think from James's point of view, he feels that Cavill was tainted by what Snyder was doing, and there was no going forward with him. That's probably James's opinion. I'm just basically trying to look into the mind of James Gunn, which I'm sure there's a lot going on in. So I think that's what happened there. But yeah, when you decide to kind of semi-reboot, and you're using some things and you're not using other things, I think it becomes a bit of a problem. But I certainly understand what he's trying to do in Peacemaker Season 2. And I do think he's going to introduce Rick Flag Sr. I still can't believe I was talking about Rick Flag Sr. in the Second World War. Wouldn't make sense, would it? Or if somehow in Flashpoint that could be possible, I don't know. I don't think so. I'm talking crap. But yeah, I mean, I'd like to see Rick Flag Sr. be a kind of a World War II veteran, but it's not going to happen. He's clearly going to be, a more modern day Rick Flag Sr. I do believe he's in Peacemaker Season 2. I do believe part of that will be a revenge story. He'll want to avenge his son's death, and I think eventually he'll be a member of the brand new Suicide Squad. I think that's one of James's plans, to try and kind of rebuild a Suicide Squad. I think some people from his film will be a part of it, and some people won't. I mean, the Idris Elba Bloodsport situation is interesting. Does Will Smith come back? From the way I know it, I think Will is just very loyal to David Ayer. I can't see him coming back as Deadshot, but I would love to see that happen. So that's what James Gunn has said about Peacemaker Series 2. Now, there's a big rumour that James Gunn will use Brainiac as a villain in Superman Legacy. Now, the Brainiac rumours have been going around for many years, with rumoured Superman movies. Now, we know for a fact that Bryan Singer's Superman Man of Steel, the sequel to Superman Returns, was definitely adapting a Brainiac story. We know that Brainiac arrives in his skull ship. Superman shows him around. It's kind of okay at first. But once he asks Superman, why hasn't he, invaded the Earth? Why hasn't he enslaved the Earth? This is when they start disagreeing. And that's when the problems happen. There was a big rumour that Brainiac takes over Superman's son Jason's body. Superman kills Jason by mistake. And it was going to be a very gripping Wrath of Khan kind of movie. And I'm kind of sad we didn't see that, because I believe Brian would have fixed the mistakes of Superman Returns in the Superman Returns sequel. Because I don't think there's many mistakes in Superman Returns. It needed a bit more action and it needed to be a bit more exciting. But it's also, Superman Returns is actually a very emotional movie. A much more emotional deep dive than Man of Steel. Man of Steel is about the adrenaline and I love it and all of that, but two different movies. It's just two different ways of going at the same material and same character. And I don't think neither of them are wrong for doing what they attempted to do. Apart from the neck snapping moment, because I think that was just dumb. I personally didn't get triggered by it. I was compelled by it. I've said this a billion times. But I think if you want to make money out of a Superman movie, you can't have Superman going, think about it. Even if you're a biased Snyder fan, it wasn't even Snyder's idea to have Superman kill Zod or snap his neck. That was Goya's idea. People keep, Snyderverse stands keep on defending it because they think they're defending Zack Snyder. It wasn't Zack's idea. Anyway, Brainiac. Look, I love Brainiac. I mean, Brainiac's been involved with some great graphic novel stories. He's a great character. And if you get him right, he could be a very powerful kind of villain. The thing is, for me, if I was writing a Brainiac story, I would be looking at a trilogy. I don't think you can really do Brainiac justice in one movie. I'm sure James is talented enough to do it, but for me, I'd like a 3-movie arc. I'd like him to take over Earth. I'd like to see the consequences of it. Maybe you could still do that in one film, but I'd like to spread it out a bit. But he's a very good villain. He deserves a live-action treatment. We saw him in Smallville. No skull ship. He wasn't a collector. He was very, very different because of budgetary reasons, and I think Alan Miles were very creative how they used him because of budgetary reasons. He was great. James Masters was a great Brainiac, but nothing like the Brainiac from the comics. Let's be clear about that. Then Krypton did a really, really awesome Brainiac, kind of comic book accurate in the way he looked. He was brilliant. And I think if we do get, a Brainiac in Superman Legacy, he'll be more along those lines rather than the Milton Fine James Masters version in Smallville. Because, look, I want to see a skull ship. I want to see a proper fucking skull ship, baby. I want to see it flying over space. I want to see it land on the planet Earth. I wrote a Smallville reboot where basically instead of a meteor shower, Brainiac's skull ship crashes into Smallville and thousands of Kryptonian refugees come out of the ship. There's no sight of Brainiac at the beginning of my story, but that's what I was kind of story I was attempting to tell in a Smallville reboot. And I was going to call it Smallville Metropolis because it was going to be flash forwards to Clark's future as Superman in Metropolis. Something I was very triggered by the Smallville series finale, so I started writing my own ideas. Anyway, so Brainiac would be a very, very popular idea. And it's clear to me that James Gunn, Peter Safran and David Zaslav really want to make the fans happy with this film. David Cornsweet is absolutely a fan casting. That tells you everything. Rachel Brosnahan is definitely James's casting. That's his decision. I think she's brilliant. The fabulous Mrs. Mavel. Oh my God, she's a brilliant actor. She's going to be a great Lois, so don't get that twisted. Everyone has their favourite Lois. I think Margot Kidder would be my favourite Lois Lane and Erica Durant from Smallville. I think they're the type of Loises I like. I like them having energy and being, having attitude and all that. But I'm happy to embrace a brand new Lois Lane. Can't wait for the casting of Jimmy Olsen. I love the character of Jimmy Olsen personally, and I've always seen Jimmy Olsen like the companion in Doctor Who. Our way into the story. So, yeah, I think Brainiac would be basically a fan choice. So it could be we could be getting Brainiac. We may not be getting Brainiac. but I think they're looking to do things that fans want. Because I think there's no question about it. If you ask a bog standard Superman fan about Man of Steel, about the Snyderverse, the bog standard DC fan who reads comics, buys DC comics every week, they're probably going to tell you they weren't too happy with what they saw. They'll say visually it was stunning. But in terms of the storytelling and the adaptations, I don't think they'd be that happy with what they got. So I think, they want to tell, look, James has clearly got his own plan, but I think within the remit of that plan, there's certain boxes they want to tick. I think Superman will wear the red trunks. I think he'll be a very traditional Superman in personality and look and in costume. So I'm very excited to see what James is going to do, and I would be very supportive of Brainiac being involved. Now, very, very interesting. As I've been telling you for weeks, I've been hearing a lot of good things about Todd Phillips' Joker Folie à Deux, the sequel to the 2019 Joker film starring Joaquin Phoenix. This time, it has a co-lead. We have Joaquin Phoenix returning as Arthur Fleck the Joker, but they're introducing Lady Gaga, of all people, as Harley Quinn. And on yesterday's video, we were talking about how I think he can fix Harley Quinn. Because I think in live action terms, in Birds of Prey, I think, Harley Quinn became a meme, a parody. And, Harley Quinn's a pretty dark character. And, I think she's a multi-layered character. And I think sometimes you can make the mistake that she's light and fluffy and she just happens to kill people. No. Once you kill people, that means there's something about you. You can't excuse that. And, I think it's interesting what you do with Harley next. And what is James Gunn planning on doing with Harley Quinn as well? Anyway, they posted, I think Todd Phillips posted it on his Instagram, I think this is how these things happen, of a brand new picture of Arthur Fleck. But, as Arthur Fleck, he wasn't wearing the Joker makeup, which is very, very interesting. Is he attempting not to be the Joker anymore? Is he trying to lead a normal life within this film? Look, the things I've been hearing about this film are tremendous and so exciting. It really is a kind of Dark Knight. It really is an Empire Strikes Back. It really is a kind of Wrath of Khan movie in a way. And a very interesting movie. But this film really is all about doing what Todd was planning from the beginning, which is telling different villain stories in DC Black Label live action. And Harley Quinn is the next villain story, but they're using Joker. They're using the continuation of this franchise to kind of flesh out this world. I think the film is going to make a lot of money. I think people will like the film. And I think also, if you're a Batman fan or a Batman stan, you're going to be very, very happy with this movie. Now, again, take it with a pinch of salt. It could be a rumor. My sources could have this wrong. But apparently Bruce Wayne plays a kind of large role in this movie. That would make sense. Remember, I don't know this for sure, so don't shoot the messenger. But I think they'll continue the themes with young Bruce Wayne in this film. Now, I don't know if there's a time jump in this film, if it kind of just continues. I think it continues straight after the other movie, I think. From the pictures we've seen, Arthur Fleck doesn't look a lot older, so I think we can say that it pretty much is a continuation straight from the last movie, which is very, very interesting. We spoke yesterday about Harley Quinn not being a criminal psychiatrist and actually being an inmate, right? So they get rid of the whole manipulation thing and they meet each other as inmates. So it's going to be very, very interesting. Now, I've basically been telling you, I've also been hearing rumours that we could get a little teaser trailer this month from Joker Folie à Deux. Now, today I know, it's a year until we actually get Joker Folie à Deux released in movie theatres around the world. A year. Will we be alive in a year? What kind of condition will I be in a year? Will I have more bags under my eyes? Will I still be doing videos? Who knows where I'll be, what I'll be doing, and who I will be doing it to. But It's very, very exciting because I think this could be the best DC film we've had, certainly since the Batman, certainly since the first Joker movie. Because we haven't had very good DC movies, for quite a while now. You know, I quite enjoyed Black Adam. The film does have its flaws, of course. Its third act villain superhero battle was a bit dodgy, very easy and everything, but I pretty much enjoyed that film, and at least it tried to be entertaining. But Shazam! Fury of the Gods, mid. The Flash movie, mid. Blue Beetle, mid. And I'm excited for everyone to see Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom, and we'll see what happens there. But yeah, this is a proper movie with a story, no CGI, It's a proper film. It's an old-fashioned type film that we used to watch. People used to go and watch films where people just spoke in, right? And the psychological thrillers. We used to sit in the cinema and do that without fast-paced movies going wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. And that's all we get today. Explosions, very fast movies that last around 2.5 hours. But, people like Todd Phillips and Christopher Nolan are trying to give you a bit more. And people like Matt Reeves, of course. And we want those type of movies. I think there's room, I know there's room for all types of tones, all types of movies, and we don't just want to see the CGI-filled, fast-paced movies, because that's boring. They don't remain in your memory, and they're not classics. So I'm very much looking forward to Joker Folie à Deux, and considering it's a year to the day, today, that we get Joker Folie à Deux, maybe we'll get a teaser trailer today. Isn't it interesting that Todd Phillips yesterday dropped the picture of Arthur Fleck? Now, normally studios do this just before they may release a trailer. Now, Todd Phillips is pretty much running this film, and I think he gets to decide whether he releases a little teaser trailer. I think we may get something today. And if we do, we'll react to it here on this channel. It's very exciting. It's a very, very exciting movie. Now, moving on to Harley Quinn and the Joker. I was watching Suicide Squad 2016, the extended cut. And I was thinking, what could I have done with, Margot Robbie as Harley and Jared Leto as Joker? Well, David Ayer had big plans. He was going to do Gotham City Sirens. He was going to do Harley and a Joker movie. But what would I do with a Harley and a Joker movie? Not necessarily starring Jared Leto as the Joker, maybe starring Margot Robbie, I don't know. But forget about who's in it. What could you do with a Harley and Joker movie? Because I spoke yesterday about this ridiculous situation of splitting up Harley and the Joker. It's a dumb idea, because that's where the money is in terms of live action. So my idea really would be for a Harley and Joker movie where they're basically chasing each other, trying to kill each other. It's just a movie where both characters are fucking insane. They hate each other at this point. Their relationship has broken down, and they're basically just trying to kill each other. And there's so much collateral damage around them. It would just be a fun, fast-paced movie where they're just trying to kill each other, beat the shit out of each other, right? And that's how the movie would be for me. It wouldn't be any more deeper than that. It would be a lot of fun. There would be no social commentary. And that's the kind of movie I would like to do. I think there's a space in DC live action for telling Harley and, Harley stories, but Joker stories as well. And that doesn't mean they have to be in a relationship. They could hate each other, like I'm trying to do here, what I'm trying to explain here, how I would do it. And I think it just would be fun seeing a movie, maybe just for 90 minutes, not too long, where they're just chasing each other, trying to shoot the fuck out of each other. And there's explosions, as I say, there's collateral damage. I think that would be very, very interesting. So that's what I would do with a Harley and a Joker movie. But what would you do with a Harley and a Joker movie? Or would you rather see something that I think would be a bit of a lame duck, but a Poison Ivy and a Harley movie? And how would that work? Why would people go to watch that? But I think with the way current day Hollywood is, they'd much rather do a Harley and Poison Ivy movie than a Harley and a Joker movie. We know where we are today. I just don't see where the drama is, where the action is in that story. It's a pretty much ordinary relationship between two women, and it's not very, very interesting. But the Joker's and Harley's relationship is heightened dramatically. It's an unstable relationship. And dramatically speaking, unstable relationships are very, very interesting. Now, I know millennials and Gen Z generation don't want to see unstable relationships, but that's where the drama is. You can't have people walking around smiling and being happy for 2.5 fucking hours. There's got to be obstacles, there's got to be character evolution. This is a thing you need in storytelling, and this is why Hollywood are not making any money anymore, because they're actually listening to Gen Z, they're listening to millennials, and that's the problem. And you've got to stop listening, Hollywood. You've got to stop listening to these people. So that's your headlines for today. Quite exciting if you ask me. Peacemaker Season 2 will confirm what's going to be canon from Peacemaker Season 1. Vigilante stays, I think, for sure. James worked really hard on that characterization. He stays. Does Adebayo stay? Waller's daughter. You would imagine she would stay. Amelia Harcourt, of course, will stay. I like her. I don't have the issues with Jen Holland, who's now married to James Gunn, being involved in DC Universe. I don't think it's something that we should get twisted about. So it will be interesting there, what he keeps and what he bins. So let me know what you would keep from Peacemaker Season 1 and what you would get rid of. And of course, Ezra Miller and Jason Momoa had a cameo as Aquaman and the Flash. Could they be the things that are not canon in DC Universe in Peacemaker Season 2? Now we know, what we don't know for sure, I think it's pretty obvious, Ezra Miller will never play the Flash again, because if he does, it's insane, and I'd really deeply have to question James Gunn about that. More than likely, instead of binning Ezra Miller as Barry Allen, he may cameo from time to time, but I think they'll go with Kid Flash. Then you don't have to say that one actor is replacing the other, and I would like that as well. I would like to see the Flash family grow. So you could keep Ezra Miller in a kind of, a brief stasis, and then kind of fill out the Flash family, like I think James is going to attempt to do with the Bat family. That's a very, very good idea. So it'll be interesting to see what he keeps from Peacemaker Season 1 and what he bins from Peacemaker Season 1. I don't think there's going to be a lot of things that he gets rid of, considering it's his creation. The problems are not with getting rid of things from Peacemaker. It's James looking at the old DCEU and saying, right, I'll keep this strand, I'll get rid of this strand, and how that doesn't become, problematic and confusing to audiences. This is what James has got to do. And I think the challenge he's taking on in not doing a full reboot is really an uphill struggle. But if anyone can do this, he can do it. He's certainly clever enough to do it. Whether he will get away with it, whether he can pull it off, is another case in point. And we'll have to wait and see about that. But certainly, what he's attempting to do in not fully rebooting the universe is odd, is confusing people. And once we see the streaming stuff and the movies through the theatrical system, we will see if he actually has done a good job in kind of connecting the DCEU with DC Universe and binning the things he no longer wants to use from that original universe. So that will be interesting. Rumours of Brainiac being involved in Superman Legacy, of course, would be very, very, very exciting. He's a great Superman villain, and I'm up for that as well. And, so that would be great. And, of course, we've got a brilliant picture from Joker Folie à Deux. No more pictures of Lady Gaga as Harley. So I think they don't want to give too much away. I personally think the rumours are true, that we will get a slight teaser, maybe today. I always felt that Todd would want to leak something, not leak something, but show a little bit of footage a year before the film's release. Now, Normally with DC, we haven't really got anything a year prior. We didn't get it with Shazam Fury of the Gods. We had to wait really late for a trailer. Same with, Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom as well, and Blue Beetle, another, so they really haven't been on top of their game. But the beauty here is that Todd Phillips is in charge. The beauty of James Gunn being in charge of DCU, he will decide when trailers are released as well. But in terms of Todd Phillips is totally in control of this movie. So if there is a little teaser trailer, if there is some footage released, we will react to it here on Movies TV Mad.